Maddie Krasny here. Welcome to another episode of Learning from Dead People. This is unlike any show you've ever seen before. Just because our guests may be dead does not stop them from being able to share their outstanding wealth of knowledge with us. How? Well, because we have a state-of-the-art time machine. In past episodes, we've learned how to do some remarkable tasks from some remarkable people. For example, we learned how to give a compelling speech from Martin Luther King Jr. We've learned how to compose brilliant music from good old Beethoven, and, perhaps my personal favorite, learning how to create a fashion empire with Coco and Chanel. In today's episode, we will be learning how to write a great American novel from the very dead and very talented Edith Wharton. Why, hello there, Edith Wharton here, and I am ever so pleased to be here on the show, Learning from Dead People. Welcome to the year 1922. I am now 60 years of age, and I have lived a very fulfilling life, but not quite the one my parents had planned out for me. You see, I have always had a story to tell, so when I was around 11 years old, I wrote my first book. While it was not published, or even very good for that matter, it marked the beginning of my true life's passion, that being writing stories, poems, and novels. This was very unfashionable and somewhat unbecoming of a young woman in upper-class New York society such as myself. My sole purpose should have been finding a husband, according to my mother. But I was far too busy for that. I had books to read, I had stories to tell, and life and love to experience. Yes, enough about me. Let me tell you how to become a great American novelist, at least from my experience. Just like several other fields, one must use the correct tools to become a well-known American author or in order to write an American novel. So, the first tool is passion. As I mentioned earlier, I have always had a story to tell. I've always had a certain curiosity and passion for the underlying truth, for those scandals and true feelings that lie beneath the order and polite conversations that go on. This curiosity and wonder about the things that were not mentioned in the society around me influenced me to read all of the novels in my father's study and take my homeschooled education to new levels. It allowed me to break the norm of what was expected of me so I could express my true talent and passion. To all of those aspiring authors out there, I recommend you do the same thing. Go out there and go find something you're passionate about or something you'd like to learn more about. Then focus your time and energy on this subject in order to live it and breathe it. This passion and learning shall help you to start your own journey as a novelist. Literally can't see anything. Hello. There we go. The next tool in my trusty toolbox is life experience. My privileged upbringing provided multiple life experiences that often influenced my writing. I had the luxury of living in several different homes in New York, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. My family and I, later my husband and I, traveled extensively through Europe. I even made France my home for a long while. The life experiences couldn't help but improve and expand my writing. It became so easy to convey the feeling of being in a place that you've actually been. That is why I encourage all of you to travel, learn, and meet new people, as they could provide content and inspiration for your great novel. Speaking of people, the next tool is influential people. Throughout my lifetime, I have been surrounded by important literary figures, particularly my best friend and harshest critic, Henry James. His honesty helped make me a better writer. While these influential people were oh so entertaining and fun to be around, the greatest gift to me was their sincere feedback. The next tool is one of the most important tools. That is the compelling content of your work. A good storyline, interesting characters, a strong underlying theme, and depth and description are all pivotal components in writing a great American novel. My stories were often made up. Like I mentioned earlier, I like to spotlight what was not usually conveyed on the surface through a strong beginning, middle, and end. Once I think of a strong and interesting base, I throw in interesting and multi-layered characters. Most of my characters are protagonists who are intelligent, emotional, and seem to want more out of life, kind of like I did growing up. They all have depth to them and are often not conveyed as fully good or fully bad, but real. Next, there must be some kind of a greater underlying theme or meaning to your novel that allows readers to have a greater understanding or curiosity. Finally, once you have all of the big components figured out and taken care of, you must be sure to include a great deal of detail and description to allow your reader to enter this new world you have created. This love for detail has greatly influenced my own writing. I could literally talk about one leaf for about 5 pages. Now I'm going to show you how I applied all of these tools to write a novel of my own that was published in 1917 called Summer. Tool number 1, passion. I was once married to a man named Edith Wharton. And I don't really like to talk about this, but since I'm dead now, I guess it doesn't really matter. But I did have an affair with a man named Morton Fullerton. I was so in love with him, and I used this passion and love that I have for him to write in this novel the relationship between Charity Royale and Lucius Harney, the 2 main characters. The next tool was life experiences. As I mentioned earlier, I had a house in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts is actually where this novel takes place. And I used my great understanding of my surroundings in Massachusetts to describe the setting in great detail. Another example of life experiences was the character Mrs. Hatchard in this novel, and she basically represented society's judgments that I felt growing up. Finally, we get to the content of my novel, Summer. The storyline was a simple story about unrequited love and the reality and social implications of love. To spice up this wonderful storyline, I included main characters such as Charity Royale, a young and idealistic girl who never really felt like she belonged. I also included a character named Lucius Harney, who was a young and attentive man who came from the city. And, last but not least, Charity's guardian figure, Lawyer Royale. Lawyer Royale is a very complicated and multi-layered character who I try to bring to life throughout the novel. We also see several themes and morals to this novel that I've written, such as love, obligation, trust, judgment, nonconformity, and important life choices. Now, for the final component of the content, I would like to read a passage from my novel, and it has to do with the great depth and description that I tell about the town. So, this is from chapter 1. It was the beginning of a June afternoon. The spring-like transparent sky shed a rain of silver sunshine on the roofs of the village and on the pastures and larchwoods surrounding it. A little wind moved among the round white clouds on the shoulder of the hills, driving their shadows across the fields and down the grassy road that takes the name of Street when it passes through North Dormer. In this passage, you can really see the setting come to life, and hopefully I have captured all my readers and brought them in to travel to this new world with me. Oh yes, and I have almost forgotten a tool. The most important thing that you need to write an amazing American novel is a hand-sharpened pencil. I am now 60 years old, and I have had a very fulfilling life. That was not right. My hair is falling. Oh my gosh. Who knew it could be so hard to get Edith Wharton hair? Use the correct tools to become a well-known American author and to write a great American novel. First, the first tool. Why is this so difficult? Passion. As I mentioned, I have always had a story to tell. I was once married to a man named Edward Wharton. I forgot my own last name.